Oh, if you want to see how I made this amazing roast beef with some roast potatoes that are a little bit different to your traditional ones, keep on watching. Okay, to start off, we're going to get the beef ready for the oven. So we're just going to go through and remove any of the silver skin that we see lying around on the piece of meat here. Any thin stuff you see, you can probably leave it on there, but definitely any of the really thick silver skin you see, you just want to zip it off with the knife. Once you got all the silver skin removed, which, you know, there wasn't too much on here, it was pretty clean to start with. We're just going to stick this over to the side here for a minute while we prep up these onions. That we're going to use as a bit of a trivet to put in our baking tray. So this is going to be simple enough. You just want to zip off both the ends. You want to cut it in half and then just get off the outer peel of the onion. Alright, then I'm just going to chop them up into some pretty chunky half circles here. About a finger thick, maybe a little bit more. Then we're just going to lay those all over the bottom of our tray there. As you can see, got the bottom of the tray completely covered in onion. Now you could also use different types of vegetables, anything you want really, but I really like roasted onion. And I've going to be cooking some other veggies along with this later on, so we're just going to put those onions in there. Also another thing I absolutely love is garlic. So I'm just going to peel these cloves whole, then I'm going to chuck those in there too. The best way I found to peel a garlic clove is just to nip off this end piece, then get your bench scraper and give it a hit, and then this just peels right off. And then that, just crushed, straight into the pan with the other stuff. Alternatively, if you don't have a bench scraper, you can get your knife. Make sure you use the bit closest to the handle. Just go ahead, give that also a little bit of a slap, and then the peels just fall right off. And that also into my baking tray. So go ahead, get the rest done. Just to get this little trivet here finished off, we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salt. And we're just gonna pour a little bit of water in here, just on the bottom, until the bottom's got a nice little layer on it. And what's that gonna do is, when the beef starts to cook, and any juices that come out, as soon as they hit the hotness on the bottom, it won't burn. And then we'll be able to collect all this juice without any of this nasty burnt taste in the sauce that we're gonna be making later on. So now that the trivet's finished, I'm gonna turn our attention back to this piece of meat. Now this also, it's gonna be super simple. I'm not gonna put any mustard or any oil or thing on the outside because it's still a little bit tacky, so the salt's gonna stick to it. So we're just gonna sprinkle a nice even layer of salt all around it. So you could dry brine this the night before, which is just doing exactly what I'm doing here, is just putting salt all over it, and then putting it in the fridge overnight. And then what will happen is, the salt draws out the moisture. Then as the moisture comes out and is on the surface of the meat, it dissolves the salt and then pulls the salt back into the meat. And that'll make the season penetrate deep inside the meat. And it works really well. But it takes a prior planning to do, which I didn't do. Because I'm going to be cooking this medium rare and I'm going to be slicing it quite thin, and I'm going to be putting a sauce over it, we can put a bit of finishing salt over the top, which is also just fine by me. Once you've got your meat all salted up, you want to get your baking dish. Now the cloves of garlic, I don't want to be actually pushing into the piece of meat because it does leave quite a garlicky taste in one spot of the meat, I found. And just lay that over the top. Okay, so my meat's ready. Now I'm going to stick it into 150 degrees Celsius, preheated oven, until the internal temperature of the meat reaches around 50 degrees Celsius. And then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step. The first side we're going to start off with, which is in my opinion, better than roast potatoes, is smashed roast potatoes. So I've got a whole bunch of these little sized potatoes. You can use the big ones, but you'll probably have to chop them up because when we get to smash them later, it's better if you have these little ones. Anyway, so I've already given them a wash. I'm just going to pop them all into this pot. I'm going to cover it with nice fresh water and get them on the stove to start boiling. I won't salt the water because in my opinion, we're just boiling these in the water, and with the skins on, the salt ain't going to penetrate through the skin. We'll season them up once we get them on the baking tray. Okay, another side I'm going to make today is honey carrots, which I'm just going to go through and chop off the tops and the tails and get them all peeled out, and then we'll get them cut up. Okay, so I've got all these carrots peeled up, and I'm just going to cut them into nice little rounds. Now, you could use a mandolin for this, but I didn't really have a good one, and I can't be bothered getting out my food processor with that attachment on. So, I'm just going to go through and chop them up with a knife. I'm not really fussed about if they're all exactly the same thickness, but try your best. To cook the carrots, I'm going to get some butter melting down in a pot. Alright, once it's all melted down, I'm going to put some honey in. I'm using wildflower honey. Put in a couple of big tablespoons because there's wildflower honey, some tasty stuff. And once you got the honey in there, go ahead and add all your carrots. Get them all mixed in, So at this point, I'm gonna add some salt. Even though this is a bit on the sweeter side, the salt helps bring out all the flavors. We'll get it all mixed in, and we just pop on a lid, then we'll let this cook away on a medium heat. So our meat is at 53 degrees Celsius internally. I checked it with my little thermometer here, and I'm happy with the color on top. So I'm just gonna lightly tent it with some foil, and then set it aside to rest. Okay, once the potatoes were done, stuck a knife in, they pulled out, and they're nice and soft. So I just strained them out, and now I'm gonna split them between these two baking trays, and then we'll get them smashed up. Okay, this next part's quite simple. Put a potato down. Now because my spatula that I'm squashing them with has holes in it, I'm just gonna put some parchment paper on top, because if I didn't, when I smash the potato, it goes through the little slots, it gets stuck to the back and it causes all sorts of trouble. So, parchment paper goes down, and then we're just looking to smash it into a nice flat little potato, just like that. I'm gonna go through and get them all smashed down. Next you wanna do, just hit them with a little bit of olive oil. Then we're gonna hit them with some salt. Also optionally, just a little pinch of MSG. And because I've got two trays, I'm gonna make these ones a little spicy. I'm gonna put a little bit of chipotle powder on the top of them. Just a little sprinkle, obviously also optional. And also just on this side, I'm gonna hit them with some fresh pepper. Now we're gonna pop these into a 200-degree preheated oven till they're nice and crispy. That's 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, once your carrots are cooked, they're nice and soft. You just wanna keep them in a nice warm spot till we're ready to serve them. All the juices left over from the pan, I'm just gonna pour them into my fat separator here. Trying to keep back all of the onions. Now we'll just give that a few minutes to separate, and then we'll crack on with the sauce. Also with these onions, if you've got the time and you want to be a little extra, we can get them in a non-stick frying pan, with a little bit of fat or butter, and we'll get some nice caramelization going on these onions. Okay, so I've got a non-stick pan heating over a medium heat. I've got some bacon grease here that I'm just going to put in the pan, and we'll get that melting down. You don't have to use bacon grease, but I had it in the fridge, so I'm going to use it. Once that's all melted down, I'm going to go ahead and get your onions in there. Okay, while your onions are getting some good colour on, go ahead and add those garlic cloves in there as well. Give them a little bit of loving in this pan. Okay, when you're happy with the amount of colour you got on your onions, just before you take them out, just hit them with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of salt. Just go ahead and get that all mixed in. Then we'll take them off the heat, then we'll keep them in a warm place ready to serve. Now I'm going to make up a quick sauce. Now this is all in the preparation. Now I've made a short on this before, but this is just some super gelatinous chicken stock that I've made up. And then I reduced it down a lot. I ended up with this. A little bit of jelly in the bottom of the pot, so I just peeled it out and I stuck it in the freezer. So now we're just going to put that in the pot. So I've got all the meat juices left over from the bacon tray. We're just going to pour the juice in from that, leave the fat behind, and then we'll get this on the stove. And we're just going to melt it down on a medium heat. Okay, the potatoes are coming along quite nicely. Just going to go ahead and give them all a flip and get some even crispiness on both sides. And get it back in the oven. Okay, once your sauce is at the consistency you're looking for, we're going to cut the heat. We're going to move it off the heat. Okay, then we're just going to stir in some cold butter. Give it a nice sheen and make it super rich and delicious. I'll be adding this much butter. So I'm just going to plop a bit in at a time, mix it in, wait until it's melted, and add some more. Okay, the only other thing we're going to add to this sauce is some resting juices from the meat and some salt. Because when I make a sauce like this, there hasn't been any salt added until this point right now. Because we're reducing it so much, if I add salt before, it might actually reduce and be way too salty. So that's why I wait until this right at the end before I add any salt to it. So we'll give it a taste. Once you got your salt levels how you want it, you want to put a lid on it, keep it in a warm spot, ready to serve. Okay, once your potatoes are nice and crispy, take them out the oven. Now that's all that's left to do is to slice up some of this amazing beef from Marvihof. Edge to edge perfection. Okay, to take these carrots to the next level, you can add some sour cream, or in my case, I've got some creme fraiche. And also, we'll finish it off with a little bit of parsley. And we'll just go ahead and get it all mixed through. This is an easy roast beef recipe. Took me only a few hours to make, and these potatoes on the side, better than your traditional roast potatoes. Also with another little sweet carrot side to go with it. Little handy tip, when you make a roast beef, and you cut it up, just cut up what you're gonna eat that night. Don't cut the whole thing up, because otherwise your leftovers are going to be all dried out and nasty. So just cut off what you need and package the rest of it up. Then when you go have some leftovers tomorrow, it's still going to be good. It's always a good day when I make this sauce. This stuff is so delicious. It goes all over the plate. It's so good. I could drink it out of here. I've already been snacking on this little beef here, and it's pretty damn good. So soft and tender, And this is cooked to my preferred doneness as well. It's not overdone, and it's not too rare. I'm not a big fan of super rare roast beef. So for me, this is perfect. These carrots, it's a bit of a riff on my father-in-law's recipe. So thanks for this one, Armin. Nice little sweet treat, especially with that wildflower honey I used. It's quite good. Now these potatoes, in my opinion, are much better than your traditional roast potatoes. And a lot easier to make too. You just boil them up, smash them, shove them in the oven, and they come out perfect every single time. Nice little crispy, crackly bits on the outside, but still soft and pillowy on the inside. It's the perfect roast dinner.